Alright, what's going on, you guys? Got a tape update to do for you. I know I've been saying forever now I was going to get that done, but here we are. Finally going to knock this one out. So this is mostly going to be like some more 2019 stuff I hadn't got around to until this year. But it still feels like a big kind of smorgasbord of stuff, which I do prefer doing that. You know, I don't always want to have just black metal or just death metal or things like that. I like to, you know, mix it up. Just makes it a little more fun when I go back and, you know, kind of refresh on these albums and get ready to talk about them. It's just, I don't know, it's just the way I like to do it. So, yeah, some 2019 stuff. Got a couple bootlegs, and that's pretty much going to be it. So I guess we'll go ahead and start knocking her out. Little Bloodsoaked Necrovoid for your listening pleasure today. Death Doom out of Costa Rica, I believe. I believe this is a compilation of the first two demos, if I'm not mistaken, which came out last year, actually. I think the demos came out in 2018, so this is just the compilation of those two, and they just put them out last year. I guess think something like Cosmic Void Ritual. If you're interested, something like that might be up your alley. So, yeah, came out on, who put this out originally? I think Iron Bonehead put this out, and then Blood Harvest and Caligari did this particular version, the CD version, which I believe is limited to like 500 copies. I thought it said in here, maybe I just looked it up somewhere, but yeah, enjoy. Alright, so the first one I'm going to talk about, I know I've heard quite a few people discussing this album, and for good reason. I know Pat, Ground Zero Salem, just talked about it. I think Ken from Ken's Death Metal Crypt talked about it. Either he did a video, I don't remember if he did a video or just he had written a review for it or something like that. But anyway, I mean, I've heard a lot of people talking about it, so this is going to be my opinion of it, I guess, but really, really, really good album that's came out this year. Actually, one of my favorites thus far. This is Worm-Gloomlord. Amazing Death Doom out of Florida, man. This is their second full length, I believe. Yeah, just really swampy, like caveman style Death Doom. What was really cool about this one is they were originally, like when they first started out, doing more of a black metal kind of project before they kind of shifted it in this direction. What I like about this is all the black metal material they were working on before is kind of still kind of creeping into their material, and honestly it just makes it even more of a dynamic album. It makes it feel even more evil and devastating, honestly. If I was going to compare it to anything, I'd maybe say Spectral Voice or something like that. So if it sounds like, that'd be something you enjoy, that'd be right up your alley, honestly. But yeah, I mean, it's got the black metal stuff, but there's like I would say like a fetid style death metal going on. Just like really a lot of cavernous mid-tempo style riffs, and but just throw in like some black metal tinges in there. I feel like that's too loud. Let me turn that down a little. Sorry about that. Yeah, like just some cavernous riffs with some black metal tinges going on here and there. I mean, it's not overloaded. It's mainly Death Doom, but it is there, and I really think it brings the dynamic out. And it's just quite a lot to unpack with this album, man. There's just so much going on, but it's so interesting. It's such a good listen. And honestly, I think it's a step up from their last album, which was Evocation of the Black Marsh, which that one felt like a little bit more of a black metal style. If I remember right, I know there's some Death Doom style in there, but this one it really comes together and fully focused and fleshed out and everything. So highly recommend you go check this one out. I believe this came out on Iron Bonehead, if I'm not mistaken. There's the tape. I know the record, the vinyl has been going out like crazy. So I mean, I would jump on this if you can get a chance and find it. The tape, I believe, is limited to 100 copies, so they're going quick. And I just got the tape because I'm a fucking cheapskate, so that's where we are with that. But yeah, this is one that I can already tell you it's going to be on my end of the year list when we get around to that. So be looking for that. Awesome album, man. Let me get something to drink. All right. Next up, I got a couple bootlegs, and honestly, I don't understand this, man. Maybe it's just me, but when it comes to this band, I understand why people talk about the earlier albums, but I don't get why this one isn't discussed as much. And maybe it's just from my personal experience, but we've got King Diamond with the Eye. Yeah, like I was saying, it's a bootleg. This one came out on MG Records, I believe. It's a label out of Poland. I don't remember if they're still around or not. But yeah, man, you know, everyone wants to talk about Fatal Portrait or Abigail or Conspiracy or them, and I totally understand it, but at least in my experience, I rarely hear anyone talking about the Eye, and it's, to me, it's one of their best. I would actually put it up there as probably my second favorite album, and I'm just kind of like, why isn't this one as discussed? I mean, it's such a broad range of killer music. Honestly, I think this is some of Andy LaRocque's best work in all the King Diamond stuff he's done. And I just think this is a fantastic fucking album. But yeah, I mean, I don't get why it's not considered up there with, you know, some of their earlier work. I mean, maybe it's just me, but it's whatever. So there's the tape itself. And this is kind of funny. So, like, some of the tracks are in, like, the wrong order from, you know, how it's supposed to be, you know, when you get, like, a, you know, a regular, you know, official copy. So these are kind of mixed up, and some of the songs are, like, misspelled. So, like, for example, you have Father Picard is actually Father Picard. Unless I covered it up, it's right there. I mean, it's just kind of funny. It's like, why'd they do it like that? What was another one? The of the Witch. Why? Okay, that doesn't make any fucking sense at all. But I don't know, man. I just kind of thought that was funny, and to me, it's like gives it a little bit more charm. But still, I'm happy to have it, man. It was cheap, and bootlegs are fun to me. This one, another bootleg, is one of the most influential thrash albums of all time. Everyone knows this one. Exodus. Bonded by Blood. This is obviously the alternate cover, which I'm trying to remember. I think originally when it came out with this cover, it was on the CBS Records reissue. I might be totally wrong about that, but that's what my information was telling me. This one was the main reason I wanted to talk about this is, like, this is obviously one of the biggest, most important, most influential thrash albums of all time. But so it comes out in '85. But to me, at least in my opinion, like the next year, '86, it just kind of got pushed aside. You know, when, you know, Rain and Blood came out and Master of Puppets and all that kind of stuff, and it just kind of feels like they were kind of overshadowed by those bands and those albums. So is it just me? Do I just feel like that? I'm not sure, but I mean, it's still a super highly influential album. But I kind of wonder, like, I know they had it all done in '84, but didn't come out to '85. I think because they were trying to come up with a cover idea, and so I know that was at least in part why it was delayed. But I'm just kind of wondering if it had one of these days I'll get through a video without stuttering. If that had came out in '84, I'm wondering if, you know, the staying power of this album would have been a little bit more. You know what I'm saying? It just feels like it should have exceeded what it was or what it did. And I mean, I know it's all subjective, and I know people are going to shit all over me for this, but I like Exodus way more than, like, say, Anthrax, and I honestly like them more than fucking Overkill. I mean, Overkill's great, but I definitely prefer some Exodus over that. So I don't know, just my opinion. But so yeah, this is another bootleg. This was on Tact, Tact Records or Tact, whatever it's called. This one came out this version of it came out in 1990. This one's even shittier. I mean, it's just a sticker with some handwritten notes on there telling you what the album is. Don't even have anything on this side. So I think the only difference in this album is that it's got, I'm assuming they're 2 live songs, so it has And Then There Were None and Lesson in Violence added on the end of the album, which is already on there to begin with, so I'm assuming they're live. But I actually haven't listened to either one of these copies, this one or the King Diamond one, just because they seem kind of sketchy. And actually, I got both of these from Nuclear War Now, and they had a bunch of stuff they were putting out, like some old Black Sabbath and Motorhead, I think, Judas Priest, Maiden, maybe even some Van Halen, if I'm not mistaken. There was all kinds of stuff they were putting out, and I was just like, well, I'm going to get it just because it's here and it's cheap. And they were even like, this stuff is not official copies, and it's going to be of debatable quality, so buy at your own risk. And I was like, nah, screw it. So I mean, they're probably fine, but I'm just like not taking a chance on it yet, so it's whatever. Alright, I think pretty much all these except for the last one is going to be some 2019 stuff I meant to get and just never did. This one, I've been listening to this fucking relentlessly. One of my favorite EPs right now, and actually probably one of my favorite releases that I've gotten, at least recently. Man, I'm listening to this over and over again. This is a Posthumous Regurgitation with Glorification of Medical Malpractice, as if that's not a mouthful. California Goregrond, this is their 2019 EP. I want to say it's their second one. Okay, yeah, their second EP, because I know they had one before, and they had a split with Haggis that I'd like to track down. But yeah, man, just it sounds pretty much how it looks, just sloppy, liquefied Goregrond. I especially love the guitar tone on this. It just sounds really sharp with plenty of gain, but somehow still meshes really well with the, the really gurgly vocals and the chaotic drums. Yeah, I really wish I could think of a comparison. It's just something about Goregrond and grindcore in general I've just not really delved into that much. And it's not for lack of trying or lack of want to. It's just kind of something that's happened. So I've got some grind albums in here. It's just, I feel like I don't listen to it enough to really give you a really firm description of what this is about and what it sounds like, and who I can compare it to without naming like, well, the fucking obvious band, So I want to leave you with a good feeling about this, and highly recommend you go check it out. Just don't want to compare it to anything because I don't want to lead you down the wrong path, But yeah, man, the songs aren't ridiculously short. I don't know how you guys feel about that kind of thing. To me, it's kind of refreshing. I mean, I don't hate unnecessarily short songs, but I don't know, sometimes it kind of feels better to have a little bit more length to it. I think the whole thing comes in like 15 minutes, and there's 7 songs on there, including there's a Butcher ABC cover on here. So, I mean, the tone of it's perfect, I think. Really nothing in the J card. Tone of it's perfect. The overall atmosphere and presentation is great. It's just one of my favorite releases right now. Favorite EP for damn sure. Definitely go give this one a listen. I don't know if Headsplit sold out on this or not. It seems like they are, but I mean, if you can track it down, I highly recommend that one. All right, this one it was hard for me to kind of come up with an apt description for it. I don't know why that is. I guess it's just one of those things. But I mean, if this seems weird, just kind of bear with me and then go check it out for yourself. If that doesn't really sound right, but this is another 2019 EP. This is from Sepolcro, however the fuck you say it. Amorphous Mass. Their first EP, I believe, because I know they had at least 2 demos, and there was a compilation and a split, but I can't remember who that one was with. But yeah, Italian death metal. So Unholy Domain originally put this one out. This was the head split reissue, and what I don't understand is the cover on this one is red. And it was like, what was wrong with the original cover art? I mean, it was very vibrant, very, I don't want to say bright, but very, very colorful. It really stood out. I thought it was picturesque and absolutely perfect. And this is fine, too, but it's not as good as the original cover. And it's just kind of like, why did they turn it all red? I thought it looked great, personally, but I don't know. That's just how, my one little nitpick on this. But it's death metal in the vein of, like, Vitriolic or A Feather and Bone, something like that. Yeah, I mean, it's just relentless attack all throughout. Deranged guitar and bass tone, just some superb drumming on this. I mean, it's fantastic. Actually, the drumming style kind of reminds me of something like you would hear on maybe an early Dying Fetus album, or, I don't know, the Christianized era Vital Remains, something like that. I mean, it's just, okay, so imagine Vitriolic and, Dying Fetus and A Feather and Bone, all those bands kind of came together and fricked and had a baby, and you kind of get Sepolcro. That's just kind of my feeling on it. I mean, it's just really frenetic, really intense fucking death metal. I said they're familiar, right? I hope I did. So there's the J card. And it's kind of cool. You've got the Amorphous Mass, and then you have the demo on there with it. So I enjoy stuff like that. Getting like just extra motivation to get you to go out and get the rest of their stuff. But yeah, man, I think it's just a 3-piece band. And yeah, I mean, really, it's just some savage fucking death metal. So I believe the Unholy Domain version is limited, but the head split version is not. So I mean, if you can find it, if it's still on there, definitely give this one a listen. I've thoroughly enjoyed that. All right. I don't know if you guys will feel the same about this as I do, but I love this album. I think it, I'll just talk about it before I start rambling. This is Bastard Grave with Diorama of Human Suffering. Swedish death metal. and it sounds like Swedish death metal. HM2 Swedish death is still alive to this day, man. But this is pretty much, you know, grave or entombed worship, which is fine. I mean, you know, I understand that some people are going to be like, oh God, another one of those, but I mean, I think it's really good. I really do. And, you know, being a fan of that kind of stuff anyway, I mean, sometimes it can get old, and I get the gripe on that, but I mean, it still sounds badass, you know. But they do, you know, really try to put their own stamp on it, like try to go out of their way to do their own thing with it. They do sound a little more feral, a little more dismal. There is an emphasis on the riffs and the tone, you know, trying to come up with a little more dissonance in the music. And so that kind of really, for me, it helps to keep it fresh and just, you know, keep me into it and really, you know, not getting bored with it, not saying, oh God, well, I could just listen to some Grave or something. So there's the shell. It's like it doesn't look the same on camera as it does in person. It's kind of like almost like a rust red. It's kind of hard to tell, but. And here is a download card if anybody wants this. So obviously, first come, first serve. I don't know if you can read it or if it even focus on it, but there you go. You can pause it and figure that out. So yeah, I mean, I don't want to make this sound like it's just another repeat of something you've heard before. They do try to do their own thing, and it's actually, it feels original enough to me. I'm trying to remember. I can't remember who put this out originally. This is the Lycanthropic Chance version, which is limited to 133 copies, hand number copies. I've got 44. But yeah, I mean, I enjoyed this enough to show it and be able to talk about it, and maybe you guys will feel the same way about it. I don't know. Just give it a listen. Let me know what you think. Links are always up below, so no excuse not to. So check it out. Smoke way too much. All right, I got a few more here. This one was a really welcome change of pace in life, and nice to kind of have a refresher. I haven't listened to this band in forever, man. This is the new one from Opprobrium, The Fallen Entities. The Fallen Entities. It's about old lady boobies, I guess. Sorry, my stupid joke. But yeah, obviously the Incubus guys still going strong under, well, I don't want to say it's a new name. They've been under this name since '99, I think. But still putting out killer albums, man. Everything they've put out, I've enjoyed. I've not had a single album I've come across that was just, this one has been really entertaining, really catchy. Like I said, it was a nice refresher to be able to get back into this and remind me that, you know, this stuff is out there. I need to go start collecting it and picking it up. But I mean, it's pretty much what you would expect. It was what I expected coming into it, just some fast old school riffs with lots of low end. This kind of stuff's always reminded me of I don't know, something like Master or Demolition Hammer, something along those lines. And like I said, they were still cranking out some killer albums. Love this shell, by the way. I think my speakers crapped out on me, but screw it, we'll just keep on going. And this is like the dumbest J card I've seen. So it kind of folds like that, and you stick the tape right in here. It's like, why don't you just stick it there? I don't know. I mean, it's like, okay, here's something a little different, but so there that is. But yeah, like I was saying, it's really a shame that I don't own more from them, because I've never found anything I didn't like, and this one is no exception. And would definitely recommend you check this one out. I really wish I had had this one last year, because I've been playing this one almost as much as that Posthumous Regurgitation album, or EP. But yeah, fun listen. That's aggravating me. Alright, a couple more and we'll get out of here. So this one, I know a lot of people have really, you know, cranked up the, well, what do I even want to say, the hype on it. And a lot of times I don't really want to go in for the hype, just because I don't want to see something hyped up and then listen to it and it doesn't meet with the hype and it just feels below that. But this one, it never did that for me. And actually, I may have even checked this out before. I remember seeing a lot of hype for it. I don't remember, so it's just kind of one of those things. But yeah, this is actually a newer version of a Mephitic Corpse, Immense Thickening Vomit. Their first demo, they're only released thus far as I'm aware anyway. It's a California death grind, really raw and heavy. I mean, it's like swamp ass diarrhea pretty much. I mean, just like all demos should sound. It's got members of at least a couple members, I think, of Disgusted Geist, which is how do I describe them? It's like more of an abrasive, more I don't know, a little faster style of music. But this is more like Mortician style heavy. A little bit more mid tempo though than Mortician, but it's insanely heavy, man. It's just overloaded with fuzzy distortion. Yeah, it just drones on and on and on. But you think it would get boring, but there's so many hooks in it. It's so many little catchy parts, but it's just kind of, you know, drowning in the filth pretty much. It's buried under there, and I've enjoyed every minute of this. I think this one's pretty short too. So I mean, it's like you got 3 songs and comes in at about 12 minutes. So there's enough to unpack here without getting bored. But it doesn't. The fact that it does drone on and on makes it feel like a longer release. But you know, still, you know, it definitely will keep your interest. And yet another head split release. So I think this is actually the second head split reissue, because I know their main like album art's like the Hacksaw or whatever, and it usually comes like this. But yeah, this one came on a PP yellow or swamp green or whatever you want to call it shell, which is cool. And again, nothing much in the Jaker. Yeah, there's the art that normally comes on the front of it. So it's cool to kind of tuck that in. But I mean, I like having like a different version. I mean, it doesn't really bother me. I mean, it's cool to have the originals when you can, but if you can, it's like, whatever, who cares? But yeah, if you haven't heard this one yet, definitely go do that. People are hyping it up for a good reason, and I've thought it was pretty awesome, actually. All right, last one. And I know everyone talks about this band too, and it's just kind of like, where have I been? It's not that I haven't been listening to it. I've been listening to this band for a few years at this point now that I think about it, but it's just kind of just now getting around to picking their stuff up. Just like 90% of every other band I have in here is like, oh yeah, I need that, and I need that. So, you know, it happens. But this is the third album from, I know I'm going to butcher the crap out of this, but this is Undergang with Doden, Laeger, Elsar. I know it's not Undergang, it's like Undergang or however you say it, but I'm not even gonna attempt. But yeah, Danish death metal. Like I said, it's the third 4-length. If you haven't heard them before, it's sort of like that Rotravor style death metal. This is a little bit more raw though, but absolutely loaded with killer riffs. But it's all kind of like buried beneath just the ultra thick tones, man. I've actually heard them described as having like a really rotten groove. And I'm like, that is the perfect, most apt description you could come up with. I mean, it's really disgusting and catchy all at the same time. And it's actually a pretty long album, too, which I was kind of looking up their stuff, and I was like, why is it that the first and the last full-length that they just released a few years ago, how are they, like, you know, between 27 and 30 minutes, and the second and third albums are, like, 40 or longer, and this one's actually by far the longest. This one comes in to, like, 51 minutes, and you would think, dear God, does it really need to be that long? But I have never once been bored with it. I've never lost interest in it. Every time I put it on, I'm just loving every single minute of it. And this is the kind of thing that would be perfect for like a long road trip or something, if I could ever go on a road trip again. You know, whenever this virus crap goes away. But I mean, this is definitely coming with me whenever that happens. So I mean, just kind of something to, I don't know, it's just one of those things. It's so enjoyable. I don't want to skip over a track. I don't want to fast forward. Obviously, it's on tape. But yeah, it's just, I dig every last bit of it. So I think this came out originally on Dark Descent, I want to say. This is one of the extremely rotten versions, and I'm pretty sure they put out like 3 represses of this right back to back to back. I'm fairly certain. I'm pretty certain this is the third of those pressings. The only way I can tell is just because this has a white shell. I know the second pressing is either a solid black or like a clear black shell. And I don't even know. I'm assuming this is the third one anyway. Not that it really matters, but if you want to know those types of details. So here's the J card. Love the presentation on that. Just really rotten DIY style, which is just perfect for this band. But yeah, again, a band I'm way behind on. I know everyone talks about them ad nauseum. I'm not trying to add on to that, but I mean, to me, it's deserved. I mean, it's a great band. I mean, just they're really, really talented musicians, and definitely, I would say even more so in terms of their writing style, what they write, what they put together, how they put the riffs together. It's just that type of band where it's just the complete package to me. So, guitar tone, which I'm a freak over. On top of that, the songwriting and the riffs and the hooks, they're all great. So, I mean, they're talked about this much for a reason, I guess. So, not to add on to that, but there you go. Alright, so that's done. I do have a few CDs that I wanted to talk about here soon. Yeah, I think after that I've got some record store updates that I've had for probably close to a year now that I haven't shown. Just got some stuff in from Eli. I might just do that one next. I've got supposed to be working on my shelf with my tape shelf with my buddy Kyle tomorrow. It'll be days after when this gets dropped, but so I have updates on that probably. So I'll have to keep us busy for a while. But yeah, I appreciate you guys checking me out and watching the video and everything, and I'll see you next time.